I do have to admit, I've been waiting all year to use this music in videos again. I absolutely love it. If you're interested, it's a bit of music called A Mystical Christmas by Blakus. It is fantastic. I absolutely love this bit of music. But what is up there, everyone? It's the guy with no gamer tag here, and today I just wanted to sort of review the last couple of months in my life, sort of give an idea of what I've been up to lately, and the usual reasons of why I haven't been uploading at all. Now, as most of you will know, I'm a university student. I'm currently in my third year of doing an engineering degree. It is very demanding, and it's not getting any easier the further through it I get, as you would expect. This semester in particular has been particularly challenging, mostly because the courseworks have been a lot more demanding of my knowledge from previous years. So my main project was that I had to, in a group, we had to design a niche vehicle. So we had to come up with an idea for this vehicle, what it was going to do, what purpose it was going to fulfill. It couldn't be a mass production thing, it has to be a very niche application. And then we have to come up with the concept, compare it to other vehicles that might perform similar tasks, and then do a full design of it. Now, that has actually taken up a lot of my time. It's been very challenging because not only is it an amalgamation of all the knowledge I've gained from my degree so far and my time at Formula Student, it's also because I've had to start researching technologies that I haven't actually looked at before. Not because they're brand new or they're particularly innovative, it's just because I've never had a reason to look at them before because of the particular vehicle we're doing. So that's just made it a bit more difficult. It's been a fun experience though. It's definitely quite cool to see how we're able to now use our knowledge to be able to design a vehicle from the ground up. It is quite cool to be able to do that now. But it is very demanding. At the same time, I've also been applying for industrial placements, and it's just sort of like a combination of all the courseworks and that as well. Just means that I haven't had that much time to do videos, and it's just not been practical. I always want to prioritise my degree because I only get one chance at it, and I really want to do as best as I can in it. Now, as you can expect, this also meant that just generally gaming wasn't on my priority list that high. I have still been gaming quite a lot because it's one thing I like to do to unwind, but I have had less time than in previous years. The main games I've been playing have just been Destiny 2 and Rainbow Six Siege. I actually got back into Destiny 2 about September time. I think it was because it was the wind down after summer, because I'd had a pretty busy summer because I'd also been on sort of a road trip across Europe with the Formula Student team as part of our events. But then I had a good month or two afterwards where I could just sort of unwind before going back to university. And in sort of September time, I sort of hit that point where you're kind of reluctant to go back to work having had such a long break. So I was just gaming quite a lot. And I got back into Destiny and it was a lot of fun. I have really enjoyed going back and playing it. I don't play it as much as I did when I first bought the game, but I am still enjoying it. I'm enjoying it now more than I did back then because there's a lot more for me to do. I did eventually decide to actually buy the Forsaken DLC and it was actually pretty good. I enjoyed the story. It was definitely well written and it was quite fun to play through. And now that I've completed that, I've still got a lot more things to do. Like I haven't even made it to the Dreaming City yet, so I've still got quite a lot of this expansion to play. And there's also lots of quests that have come out during Forsaken and also from the Black Armory launch that I can do in like the Crucible and Gambit and everything else. I have still hit the problem that I am not actually able to play a lot of the endgame content, like Nightfall Strikes and Raids. I've just not been able to touch those, partly because I haven't had the time to do it, but also they're just very difficult to access if you haven't had the prior experience. So I've only actually ever played the Leviathan raid from the launch of Destiny 2. I haven't played any of the raids since that because no one's really playing Eater of Worlds. The people that are playing Spire of Stars want experienced players to run it, and the Dreaming City, I don't even have enough power to even get to that, so there's no even point of me playing the Last Wish raid. But hopefully I might get a chance in the future, maybe when I've got a bit more time. But it's not a disaster, I do enjoy playing the content that I am able to access. The other game I've been playing, as I said, was Rainbow Six Siege. I sort of oscillate between Destiny and Siege at the moment because I do really enjoy it. I have had a lot more fun playing Siege recently, especially during Grimsky. I just had some really fun moments. In fact, the bit you're seeing in the background was one of the most fun rounds I've ever had on Siege. It might not look anything special, it's not a particularly fast round or rapid, but it's just really cool being able to send my drone in, work out where the enemies are and take them out. Like, some of them were pretty lucky. Like, I know I wallbanged one of them and it was very lucky, but it was just so cool to have my drone going in. It was really tactical and I really enjoyed that. And that's one of the main things, is that because I've had a lot less time to play, I've actually found myself enjoying the games a lot more, because when I do decide to game, I'm actually gaming because I want to and not just, oh, it'll pass the time. And what's more, because I'm more relaxed when I'm playing, it means that I'm also trying new things. Like, I've played Blitz a bit more. I'm still pretty terrible at Shield, so I don't do it often. And then I've also found myself roaming a lot more in defense. Like, I never used to really roam because I was just too scared to do it. My main problem was I always wanted to perform well. I never wanted to be the weak link on the team. And so it meant that I was almost always trying hard at the game, whereas now I just sort of chill out. The sweaty moments still happen and you can play those as you want, but I don't try and go sweaty all the time, which has made it a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable because I've got a lot more variety in my gameplay now. However, I do admit, since Wind Bastion has launched, I've had a little bit less interest in the game. I don't know what it is about this season, but just something feels off, and I don't know why. It's not that anything bad has happened to the game. Perhaps I just overplayed it at the end of Grim Sky, but I just don't have as much of an interest in the game. There's just something that's gone a bit funny. It might just be that I need a little bit of a break from the game, so I'll see how that all goes. In terms of other games of interest to me, obviously Battlefield 5 has always been sort of on my radar, but not something I was planning on picking up. The main reason was when I played the beta, the game didn't run well, and so I haven't picked it up at launch. I am still interested in the game, because a lot of people that have played it, especially veteran players, have said that actually the gameplay is really fun, and it is satisfying to play. However, the game just doesn't look ready yet. It's still got a lot of features missing, there's apparently still a lot of bugs, and it's just not quite what I want to play yet, because I had that problem with Battlefield 1. With Battlefield 3 and 4, I played them once they were at their best. Battlefield 1, I played it from the beginning, and I didn't like it, and I completely fell out with the game. So there's no point in me spending 60 quid to probably fall out with another game. However, it does leave Battlefield 1 a slight problem, and that is that it will have a competitor, because Insurgency Sandstorm has recently released on PC. Now, I haven't played it or the original game, but the game just looks phenomenal. I really do want to try it. It's an indie developed game, and it's a very hardcore tactical shooter. You all know how when you look at a game, you almost sort of get like a fantasy of how you want that game to play out, how you think it's going to do. For me, it's like a combination of Battlefield 3 with the aesthetic of COD 4. It's just that kind of setting, and it's just really ticking some box in my head, and it's making me really want to play the game. But it's not coming out on console until some point next year. I think it's scheduled for about March time, which is probably about the time I'd be thinking to get Battlefield 5 if I did. So it's definitely going to be an interesting little competition between those games as to which one might get my time. And in fact, it's a bit awkward because every now and then when I'm doing YouTube, I come up with sort of cinematic ideas in my head. That's part of the thing with the Siege highlight series, is it's just me and Kyle messing around on Siege, but every now and then I come up with a way to add like a narrative or a cinematic element to it, which is what I really enjoy doing. I actually have an idea for sort of a cinematic video in Battlefield 5, but you can't do a cinematic if you don't have the game. But at the end of the day, if the game isn't worth me getting, I'll just have to sack off that cinematic because it's not worth it. It's not worth £60 for just one video. Another game I've been interested in was the Spider-Man that came out in September. I haven't as yet got round to playing it, but a lot of people have said really good things about the game. So I do look forward to eventually trying that out. Now, there are some games on the horizon that I'm actually quite interested in. There is obviously The Last of Us 2. The first game was absolutely fantastic. I plan on replaying it soon. I've actually been replaying the Uncharted games at the moment, so I've replayed the first 3 Uncharted games. Mostly I want to try and get the Platinum Trophy, so I've been trying to find all the treasures, get past it on the hardest difficulty. My goodness, playing Uncharted 1 on Crushing is just horrible. The enemies just sprint round corners and one-tap you. It is insanely difficult. There was just one particular level, and oh my goodness, it was rage-inducing how difficult the enemies were to kill. It was very difficult. The other games weren't so difficult on Crushing difficulty, but it was still a bit of a challenge. As yet, I haven't found all the treasures in any of the games. I think my best was 96 on Uncharted 1, and Uncharted 2 is my weakest. I'm like 70 or 80. Uncharted 3 I was back up to the 90s somewhere, but I've never quite managed to find all the treasures. I've just started replaying Uncharted 4, which is another fantastic game. There's just some brilliant scenes in that game, which I'm really looking forward to getting to replay again. And generally, I just love these games. They've got great stories, and they've just got great interactions between the characters, which really engages you in the game. Another thing that I've also been up to recently is obviously watching TV. I'm a big fan of Doctor Who. I've been watching since Christopher Eccleston's series, and I've really enjoyed the TV series. Unfortunately, I didn't really like Capaldi's series, and that wasn't because I thought he was a bad doctor, it was just because the writing was terrible. I did not enjoy the series because they just were not well written at all. And it got to a point where they were basically justifying everything that happened. Well, humans are stupid, so they didn't remember. And it just really annoyed me, and it was just a lot of lazy writing. It was like they just had no interest in it anymore. However, I'm really happy with Jodie Whittaker's series, and it was very satisfying to watch because I saw this one particular video before the series had even come out, and it was basically saying that the whole series was going to be bad because one trailer was a little bit edgy, and that it was all about, oh, it's the feminist agenda, shoving men aside, and it's like, you're completely ignoring what feminism actually is, and you're just talking out your arse. And it was just very satisfying to see a series be able to take a female-led doctor, actually talk about big issues without it being too on the chin, except for the Trump episode. The Trump spider episode, that was a bit too much for me, because it was just too obviously him. But the series did talk about some really key issues without it seeming forced or seeming like it was way too on the nose, and I really liked it. And just generally the character interactions and the writing of the series was really good, and I've thoroughly enjoyed watching it. I do kind of understand that it wasn't quite as spectacular at the end as when you had like the Bad Wolf story or the David Tennant series stories, but it was still a really good series in my opinion, and I am really looking forward to the New Year's special because of that. And in terms of other things, I've just been rewatching the IT Crowd. I really enjoy that TV series. If you have access to it, I would so recommend watching it. It's really funny, it's really nerdy, and so that's why it appeals to me. I also started watching Rick and Morty, mostly because it was on Netflix, and I was like, what's the fuss about? I'll go try and give it a watch. But the weird thing is, even though I don't particularly like it, I haven't stopped watching it yet, so I've obviously been a little bit brainwashed here. But overall, this semester has, as I've said, been my toughest semester so far, and it's not going to be getting any easier. It might be a little bit more relaxed in terms of contact hours next semester, but I'll probably then be using that time to spend more time at Formula Student, so we can hopefully have the best car for when competitions come around. But I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and I do hope you've had a great winter period. This has been the Governor Gamertag, and I'll see you on another video.
Last operator standing.